viewers of the internet, and welcome to episode 6 of Rally Pro Time Trial, where the camera is stuttering a bit. That's fine, it'll even out eventually. Anyway, here we have a hearse, as today's week is extensively modified vehicles. And I decided, hey, what would be a better way to start that than with a hearse? Since it is basically a Leguan, only the rear end has been completely changed. As you can see, the curtains are swinging around there, just behind the driver. And otherwise, it's, I believe, a standard custom Leguan, but it still has custom suspension and... not a custom engine, actually. Just a standard sport engine and custom wheels. So, you know, it's fairly well modified over the standard version of the Leguan. But anyway, without further ado, let's get going in 3, 2, 1. Check for manual, actually. 1, and a go. Yes, you didn't see that blunder. This does idle a lot lower than the D series that spawns by default. At least on most versions of Beam, you might be able to change it, although whenever I've tried that recently, it hasn't worked so well. Now, this car does not fill me with hope, because it's a Leguan, naturally. They do not tend to have the toughest front axles in the world. When I say toughest, they're probably some of the weakest, actually, in Beam, because I was just throwing it off a cliff, and both the front wheels were able to brake. That was just when I was messing around, checking everything was working on this setup before I started recording, and that was not filling me with confidence. Now, maybe the hearse body will still help. Remember, it is extra weight on the back of the front wheel drive car, so perhaps slightly less strain on the front wheels. It does handle well, actually. I'd say maybe even better than a standard Leguan, but just next to no understeer, which you would expect. It may even oversteer at times. Is it a really nice handling car? It's okay on the bumps, although it's definitely firmer, as you would expect from a custom, but the Leguan in general is a softer car. Take, say, the 80s Pessima, every version of that is going to be stiffer than every version of the equivalent Leguan. They're just not firm cars. If this is going to be the Pessima we saw last week is the question, I guess, because that Pessima was actually pretty good. It didn't feel quick, though. This feels quick, and that's, I guess, a worry, because you'll see after going over these jumps, we are giving the front end a good old whacking. I don't think, as of yet, it's anything to worry about, but I just fear I'm going to be going over part of a circuit really fast, and then it'll just hurt itself. Ooh, I got a really good turn in there, though. That's what I mean about the handling. In other cars, that may have been a terrible turn and I may have flown off, but this just rode it out beautifully. I wouldn't say it's the most forgiving vehicle in the world, but being front wheel drive, it's pulling itself along, so it's a lot safer than a lot of rear wheel drive competition, would you say? Although I wouldn't say there's much performance competition for a hearse. Let's be honest. I'm sure performance hearses exist somewhere, but not all that common in what they are. Also, it's a Leguan, which seems furthermore interesting as a choice to a hearse, since generally hearses are quite a high-class vehicle, like a Jaguar XJ or a Cadillac Eldorado, would it be? Some kind of Cadillac, or whatever else there is. Citroen? I think there's probably been a Citroen hearse, or at the very least, larger Fords and Vauxhalls. They're very rarely smaller, lighter vehicles like this, so I find that interesting as well. Vehicle is going well, and I've left my frame rate meter up. No, go away. I can't really restart recording now either, because I've already messed that up. I don't know. Anyway, continuing on. Ooh, I wasn't sure where to turn in there. Thankfully, I didn't overdo it and wreck my vehicle. As I'm saying, it's reasonably refined over these bumps. It's not perfect. You'll see it getting bounced about, but again, the front wheel drive comes into play because it's a much more forgiving driveline than rear wheel drive. It just is able to take it. It's able to put up with it. And that corner, I think that's a corner that's posed trouble with many cars before, but not this one. Brakes are good as well. I'll say that now. Brakes are not doing badly at all. Mind, it is a custom car with no extra power, so I guess we have to kind of expect that. It's just the sport version, which was already a good car, made even better. Sport version of the hearse, I'm not sure, but I remember driving it and it wasn't too bad. Now, I remember, actually when the Leguan first came out, I drove the sport version, and it was just, the tyres on that were dreadful. I really think what they've done here is they've stuck some properly good tyres on, and that's really helped it. As I was saying as well about the Sunburst Taxi, that had dreadful tyres and you could really feel it. Tyres are a big thing out here, because everything that you would normally feel on the road is just accentuated. I think it's just that the Leguan is a really good handling car, and the tyres held back the sport version so much from what it was actually capable of. They weren't dreadful tyres for a 120 horsepower car, but when you're throwing that much power through the wheels, 200 or just over in this case, you do really want good tyres to help you put it down. This is the terrible section. It feels actually very refined over here, to all my surprise of how it's thrown vehicles about before. Now, maybe the front axle will brake and I'll still climb the oil rises, because it feels like it's got a fair old amount of straight line speed, even though it is 200 horsepower and not a crazy 400 horsepower beast or anything. It's still got, I feel, enough power. I just have to be very careful about abusing that front axle, and that was not good on it, but I think it should have survived that. Yeah, surprisingly, all my windows are still intact. Oh, had a bit of a break there, just to try and manage the vehicle, keep it from smashing up the front end. Can go to the inside here. As long as we don't take too much speed, it feels like I'm free to take more or less whatever line I want. As well as I don't hit a rock, obviously. If I hit the rocks at the side, that's not going to be good for my car. Ooh. Going a bit wide. No, I can floor it out of here and just about get away with it. Oh, come on. Come on, you can do it. Yes. The mighty Leguan, I don't imagine it being very comfortable for the person in the front or the people in the back, be them mortal or not, but they are going to get round at quite some speed. Try and slow into here. There we go, very nicely done. Thankfully, I believe this has a rev limiter, so I've not got my problem of over-revving an engine, and oh, I very almost pushed that too far and flew off a cliff. I would not want that to happen by any means. Come on. I feel like the front suspension may have taken some abuse. It's still driving fine, don't get me wrong. It just feels like it's taken some abuse as I cut a corner there. So maybe it has collapsed. Will this make it up the oil crisis? So I don't know. The Leguan National didn't. So that doesn't fill me with hope. But again, maybe the weight balance, maybe the driveline will all help play in my favour. I'm not certain of that. Can we hopefully get around here? Yeah, floor it into here. No, I don't want to do donut menu. All the menus are coming to visit today. Ooh, that was very almost too close. No, I don't want to drive that way. Okay, the front axle is destroyed. Thankfully, I don't think that was just by me flying into that tree there. Ooh, or was it? I don't think it was. Either way, it drives okay, as I said. So we can just drag this thing round, hopefully pick up the strength. And then, oh dear. No, that's not working. That was all cosmetic, though, with that fender, so, you know, could do worse. And we're back on the course. So, try and get the wide view. I've got a bit of fender hanging off, but it's fine. It feels like I've lost one of my white wheels here. Oh dear, come on. I don't think we're going to make the oil crisis. Whatever that small crash did is too much to take. You saw the front axle was completely mangled up. I may even be dealing with a one-wheel drive vehicle by this stage. That's not really what you want when you're trying to put down 200 horsepower. You know, it is still going, but I don't think we'll make it up any really steep hills. Honestly, I'm struggling with some of these relatively minor ones, actually. Or very minor ones to any other car. So, yeah, it's a disappointment, but there's nothing I can really do about it. It was my own mistake as well. I have to say that much. Oh, very, very steep hill. But the front axle was going anyway. I could tell that much from what I saw. It wasn't like I just took out one axle and the other was completely fine. The other side of the suspension was completely fine. That wasn't the case, as I would have perhaps liked it to be. And yeah, again we have the climbing. It is not good at that. Maybe it's just not good at climbing outright, and the crash has done nothing about that. But I didn't realise, because it was never really an uphill course until this section. Right, so second gear. Let's see how this goes. Come on. Come on, mighty Leguan Hurst. Will it do it? No. I gave it what I could, and it was a good one onto there. Wait a minute, am I seeing this correctly? Maybe I could cheaty this. Right, now this is just me being a dirty cheat, and I've deflated that tyre. I can still try. Yeah, I need to be careful what I do. I don't think this would work, but it was lifting one wheel up off the ground, so... Nah, I get pushed back in. And now the radiator's gone. The whole vehicle is just going, really, beginning with the front axle. But anyway, you know, it put in a decent showing. It's just a shame it couldn't make it further. I'd be interested to see, though, because this car was so good, how the regular custom or the track version of the Leguan would do. I have one front light as well. Oh dear. It's losing bits. Anyway, on to the next vehicle. Next up, we have a semi-recognisable vehicle. This is the Covet V6R4. And as you may expect from that name, it is a rally Covet with a V6. Actually, this may be a modified Pessimo engine. Heavily modified, but still. You can see it just in the back there. No engine cover or anything, it's just completely uncovered. Must be very easy to access and work on if you want to make changes to it. That's odd. The engine got suddenly louder just a moment there. You'll see the interior has changed and everything. This is really an extensively modified vehicle. And as the engine is back there, it is no longer a front-wheel drive vehicle. I believe it's all-wheel drive, but anyway, without further ado, I can check the transmission again, which is fine, and get going in 3, 2, 1, and go. I just had a moment of thought back there that maybe there was electronic stability and traction control, but nah, there isn't. This is more of an 80s car, so yeah. Admittedly late 80s, probably after Group B was actually shut down by the time this car would be around, because that's the year with the Covets from. But, you know, if you're dealing with the rally version of the Covet, you have to make what compromises you do, because, you know, we don't have an older vehicle than that. This is supposed to somewhat resemble something called the Metro 6R4, which also, I believe, had a 6-cylinder mid-mounted V6. Yeah, V6s are 6-cylinder. I need to get used to that. And this thing is really quick, but still fairly grippy. I do like it. I like how it's handling. The Leguan, I would say, was easier. Mainly just because it was slower, though. This, for the power level, it is not bad at all. Oh, dear. Oh, I'm going a bit too fast here. Just try and slow down. And I'm able to steady it. That's good. Oh, running over all these flowers that don't belong to me. Ah, wait, they don't belong to me. That's fine, then. As we go over. This feels like it's going to be incredibly quick, and I'm pretty sure, being a purpose-built rally car, it's going to make it up the oil crisis until the end. Well, I say up the oil crisis, it's an all-wheel drive monster of a vehicle with this much power. Of course it's going to do it. had a quick peek there before I had to slow down. It's making over 400 horsepower. That is not bad power for any vehicle in BeamNG. Sure, in reality, you get the Dodge Hellcats and things that make more power than that, but really 400 is still a very, very solid amount of power. You're not exactly going to be saying, I can't drive and keep up with traffic when you've got 400 horsepower. It's very, very sports car level nowadays. Back in the 80s, it was a real supercar level engine, though, that must be said. It makes me think of a turbocharged old Skyline for some reason. I think it's because it is a twin turbo. I'm pretty sure it's a twin turbo at least. I think it's a rally spec engine. This is a rally version of the vehicle, but there are two engines. There's a rally engine and a non-rally engine. I'm not seeing any turbos on the graph though, which is odd. Maybe I've got a non-turbo variant. Either way, if there is a more powerful version of this car, I might have to try that later. I just got a standard rally config, which was the lowest down one on the list, so I therefore immediately assumed it was going to be the quickest, as it normally is in BeamNG. Sometimes things are a bit messed up and that's not the case, but most of the time the lowest down one is the highest performance car. And I'm getting a bit nervous around these tight corners. It's a fairly twitchy car at low speeds. It's by no means unmanageable, and these brakes are incredible. Better than the Leguan, I would say. Definitely. But it gets a little twitchy. It's not uncontrollable by any means, but it is just a little. The all-wheel drive gives it loads of grip though, and considering I've driven muscle cars around here, or around part of this circuit, that really aren't that grippy, especially under these circumstances, oh dear, it's quite nice. You'll see it's getting thrown about, but it's dealing with the bumps a lot better than other cars. It feels as you would expect for, I guess, a rally car of the Covet DX I had before. It's a lot more powerful, and with great power comes great responsibility, naturally. Oh dear. But I'm pretty sure this is going to be the quickest on the leaderboard because it's got control, yet it's got incredible power, and it's not bad at the bumps at all. Oh dear. Come on. Oh dear, no, don't want to go that way. Don't want to go off that way. The bumps are definitely interfering with it here. It's going over them just okay, but the car is getting thrown about no end, and it does not like what I'm putting it through. It will get through it, and you'll see, fly up to pretty high speeds when it is through it, but the problem is it's not perfect. Oh, that was a very harsh impact. Thankfully, I believe it is reinforced to take this kind of stuff. It doesn't at least feel like it's collapsed yet. Oh. Honestly, when I was going into that jump, I expected worse. Is it still driving straight? I think it might be. So I've lost my windscreen, but you'll see again, reinforced rally structure, it really helps hold this vehicle together. That and the fact that it's naturally tougher than the Leguan is always going to help it. Whoa! Yeah, I tried to use the power on my side there. It didn't quite go as I'd expected it to, but again, we are out the other end. Will this make a second lap? I'm not sure. I honestly think I'll throw it off a cliff or something by the time I'm at that stage. I can make one lap, definitely, but whether I have the ability to get it to the end of a second lap is a question, I guess, because I'm highly doubtful I would. You'll see I'm already making mistakes and my computer's stuttering just because of the crazy speed of this thing. Don't go off the edge, don't go off the edge. Thank you. That was very close though to the edge. The windscreen is not making it easy now, it's cracked to get going. It may be veering to the left as well. Mind, it held together surprisingly well. As I said, I threw it at that jump there. I really didn't know what to expect, because sometimes it is twitchy, as I say, and it's a bit hard to control when we're talking such tight, winding sections of a course like this. So, compromises must be made somewhere. And, oh dear. Speed, where are you? Where I need you? There we go. You'll see, though, it is just about finding grip at the right moments. Although it's not a perfect car to drive, it has enough grip to get it round, and it has easily enough power to set a very good time. I'm going to slow down just a bit here because the bumps will catch it out, I think, otherwise. There's some really horrible, aggressive bumps, and... See, indeed, if I'd went too quick at that, I can only imagine what could have gone wrong, because I was already flying at it as it was. I just had to make sure that, you know, I was being careful not to go mad. Now, the oil crisis is just round here. Does it terrify me? Not in the slightest. We may even, for once, gain speed while going up it. And although I got a terrible one in, and yeah, you'll see, I flew at the wall there. That's what happens when I try and push it that bit too far. We're having the oil crisis. It's actually more effective to slow down. I believe there was another car. I'm not sure what it was. I think it was the Maluch. I had to do something odd, like shift down and lose a bit of speed to actually get up the oil crisis. Yeah, this is one of those odd vehicles, as in it's so quick, it's easier to actually go slower, but go slower to go quicker. You'll see though, it's just amazingly quick. Oh dear. Thankfully that was a lot less painful than I'd expected. I thought there was going to be a ditch there. Like, there is some ditches on the right hand side of the road here. Oh, water. That water really grabbed me. And it's a wider car than the Covet. That is not helping, no doubt. Plus, I want to use the power, but I can't. I need to restrain myself, because I know if I go too mad with the power, I'll wreck the vehicle. I've managed to be careful enough on this one to maintain a good level of speed through a lot of the course. I've not had any major offs, for example, just by managing to restrain myself, managing to know when too much is too much and when I need to just stop giving it the beans. But restraint can only go so far. Yes, come on. How did we both get out of that? I don't know. I didn't really know where the car was going, but there we are, pointing in the right direction again, and I need to slow down. That was terrifying. The bumps were just catching me, and I felt like there was nothing I could do, but it did actually get slowed. I just looked, and this doesn't seem to have ABS, but I am getting braked okay. Now, this is a final section, so I know I'll make it to the end. The worst of it is over, and I'm pretty sure this car is pulling to the left. Yeah, not the most major left pull ever, but there we go. Yeah, it's not a highly left-wing car, it's a left centrist, that's what we're saying. Oh dear. Talk about having no major offs. That was very almost either throwing me off a cliff or sapping loads of time. Now, I'm actually getting more and more terrified of this as time goes on, because the car was up to the job from standard, but I feel as I abuse it more and more, the bits are getting either worn down or just pushed out of shape really badly, and that is affecting me. I wonder how this will look when I finish. From my perspective, it looks new, other than the windscreen, which is obviously broken. But I wonder if we'll see some very odd wheel damage or something. This is ultimately going faster than a standard Covet was ever forced to go. I believe it was the same with the actual original Metro. They sure had the MG Metro, but that was never going to make more than about 150 horsepower, so, you know, this is quite the departure from 150 horsepower to over 400. You know, it's just not meant to push this level of power, but it somehow is. And as I say, we are into the second lap, so I said I would get here. Things are going okay, but oh dear. No, that was just one bad impact, and it's taken out the entire car. Try and get a good angle on this. No, it doesn't seem to let me get the rotating camera. Okay, I'll go on Shift C and I'll do it that way. Do our lights still work? Yes, all of our lights still work, which is very, very odd. Keyboard clicking, I don't like it, but nothing I can do much about it. Those lights are still on. They are on the edges, the middles are broken. But all that happened there was, I think I flew sideways into a rock, and I don't know, it must have just knocked the engine loose. Because if we look back here, that's all there is. So, as I said though, it's a brilliant vehicle, but it's just a bit too much of a beast to make 2 laps. I did try, but ultimately, you know, it was too far gone by the point I'd thrown it across the bumps like that. Anyway, do we have a boot there? I thought I saw an engine in there for a moment. That would have been very odd. But anyway, I'm going to move now on to the final vehicle. So, our final vehicle is this Civetta Bolide Corsair Competizione. Before I forget, that's how my mind works, and I turn the lights off. I don't know what's going on. What's going on with my head anyway? You'll see basically it's a racified Bolide, and there's not much more to say than that. It's just under 1350 kilograms, and it has just under 700 horsepower, so it should have about 1 horsepower per every 2 kilograms in power to weight ratio. But anyway, I think I'll just reset this to make sure it's in the right position. It seems at an odd rotation, I don't know why that is. But anyway, I'll get going in 3, 2, 1, and a go. It's got a lot of turbo lag as well. I realised it could go 70 miles per hour in reverse as well. I'll mention that now, very odd. But the more prominent problem, yeah, I think we're seeing it now, is the front can catch on the ground and not lift the front wheels up as such, but it can stop them having contact with the ground. So yeah, that is not doing nicely. I'm guessing as we get going though, fortunately it will just get racked out of the way and it won't become a problem anymore. Either that or I'll learn to live with it. I'm getting incredible understeer here. When the turbo kicks in, oh dear, you just saw it, that it gives you a crazy boost out of nowhere, really. Twin turbos as well, not a single turbo, but that's the way it is. Now the terrain has flattened out just a little. Can hopefully let it loose. Whee! Donut menu blocking my already obstructed visibility. Oh dear, slow it down a bit. Oh, it's just one of those cars though. It's so fun when you can use the power, but you can use the power so rarely. And come on, this is supposed to resemble a Ferrari F40 as well. I'll mention that now. It's an interesting take on the F40, but it is still a Bolide chassis. The Bolide is a good car, just one I never really got to use much before in my series. Oh dear. I'm not getting this out of second gear because whenever I put any kind of power down with this, it's just too much. Off-road, it doesn't seem to be making a difference, strange as it sounds. Oh dear. Thank goodness that was not half as bad as it could have ended up being. Oh, that was harsh. As I say though, these are good vehicles, they're quite tough vehicles, and if built properly with really grippy tyres, it can be competitive. I feel that this just has the kind of common Bolide problem of having tyres that aren't quite grippy enough to put the power down. So either lower variants corner well, but then the higher variants just can't quite put the power down as you'd want them to. They just don't have the tyres for it, and it's not the way I would like things to be, but I don't think Beam has any proper high performance race tyres. You could use a grip variable. Maybe cars just handle like this, so when you've got this much power, and I've just built them in Forza, far over engineered them so very easy to drive. I don't know, either way, you know, I am getting it round. The tail likes to do a bit of wiggling when the turbos come on. It feels like though the quickest way to drive this is when you're not in the turbo zone, because you're in the turbo zone, you're making far too much power to do anything with. Oh dear. Feels like one of the crazy contraptions I would build on automation, actually. Self-promotion, yay. And again, we have a corner which I take in a very odd manner. Whoa, yes, somehow I did it. Somehow I hit the turbo and I didn't spin out or lose the rear end. I think if I do it in a straight line on a fairly flat piece of terrain and then shift up fairly immediately, I can regain control. Oddly though, crazy as it might sound, this is somewhat easier to control than the Covet we had before. Ridiculous idea, I know, but it is feeling like it's easier on the old hands than that. Since I'm using a controller, that is. And oh dear, not paying enough attention to where I go. I ended up in the flowers, but I can recover that. I don't like how sluggish it is though, because in an instant this car will go from having too little to too much power. There's just no balance. The oil crisis won't be a problem though. I know that, even if I have to break into the turbo zone. I know this has enough grip and enough power to make it up there, no problem, even if it is rear wheel drive. Plus it's not a crazy muscle car. Come on. And I'm thinking actually, I wonder if anyone's made a Hellcat mod. That probably wouldn't make it up the oil crisis, but it'll be worth a try just to see if anyone, just to see if there's a crazy high power muscle car out there, to see how you could possibly use raw power to fight the oil crisis. But yeah, that's basically stealing oil and driving away from the cops. It's like the perfect metaphor though, the oil crisis, because it hurts muscle cars but it doesn't hurt anything else. Well, I guess it doesn't hurt European stuff. It hurts supercars maybe? I don't know. I wouldn't say it would hurt these, but there's a chance it'll hurt the Bolide, with them tending to be a bit on the slidey side. Third gear, oh dear, I'm going too quick. Oh. Can we back up? That's what I'd call a lucky escape. Don't tell me we've got an open differential on this. Looks like we've got an open differential. The front end though, you'll see how low it is now, hopefully. Grab it here actually. The less likely I'm to wreck the bumper if I do it that way. Come on, now you're stuck in some mud. There we go. So we can continue. Considering what this car just went through, I could have expected worse damage. Oh dear. This is not what I want. The crash was bad enough, but the fact that now I'm unable to keep control of it, it doesn't seem majorly damaged. It just seems like I don't know what I'm doing. I can't really see. The cracks have made the obstructed visibility worse. The Covet V6R4 had great visibility to begin with though, so when the windscreen was cracked I could still somewhat see out of it. The visibility here is less great. I can see out of it really, no problem, but you know, there's always those bits I can't see, and that's where it hurts. But for a supercar the visibility is pretty good. Come on. The cracks don't help. The cracks kind of obscure things. Now, if this is going to do anything for me on this section of the course, it'll be to take out that front bumper a bit so the wheels maintain better contact with the ground. Come on. I know this can make one lap, though. Same as the Covet. I know it can make one lap. Even if it's a slightly dodgy lap where I almost fell off the course, I still know it will do it. Oh, come on. Brake, and it does feel like the bumper's gone a bit now, and like it can actually gain contact with the ground. This was the section, this bumpy section was what I was concerned about though. What I was properly concerned about when I was spawning this vehicle and looking around it, that that front bumper, though, was not designed for... The entire car was not designed for rallying, though, to be fair on it. To be fair, if it was round a track, it may have gripped a lot better. And this is probably on slick tyres as well. But it's no ETKI series, that's for sure. Mind, if you threw this much power at an ETKI series, it wouldn't be too nice either. As good as the I series is of a car, you couldn't just go mad and throw 700 horsepower through it without consequence. The all-wheel drive versions would cope with it better. Oh dear, I've got overrev damage. Truth be told, I don't think it's going to hurt me as much as it might with other cars, though. Well, it had far too much power to begin with, so I couldn't use any of that. So even if I have lost a bit of power. I should have been watching, though. No, don't fly off a cliff, please. Thank you. I hope the terrain will get smoother, though. I know it will, but I mean, I hope it'll get smoother on my one, and that I don't fail. I know it'll do a lap. I'm saying that now. If I'm proven wrong by the oil crisis, then I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure. And when I'm pretty sure of something, you know, it should happen. When I'm not sure, it probably won't happen. And when I'm definitely not sure it's going to do it, then it's definitely not going to do it. Oh dear. Come on. Oh. Second gear, and it's giving me nothing. Hopefully on the other side of the hill I can... No? It was being a bit of a tractor there in the low RPMs. And... Whoa, bump. Try and maintain a clean line through here. Although I'm not getting much power outside of a turbo lag. Oh dear. I made it through. Somehow. Whoa. How am I doing this? I don't know. I don't have driving ability sufficient for this car. The car's just taking control of itself. Like, why? I'm going through here myself because you're clearly not doing a good job of it. As I had my first arguable spin, unless you call the crasher spin. Oh dear. Come on. The oil crisis up here. I'm actually coming a lot more concerned about this than I just was. Come on. I know it's got overrev damage, so I'm just going to try this. I know it probably won't make it up. There we go. No. I've damaged it some more, but what else was I going to do? I mean, oddly it felt like it wasn't going to get up there. It's just too much power though. If I just went in, say, second gear and managed to find the turbo zone, it would just spin and I would be out of it before I could do anything. So overrev damage was really the only thing I could get away with. I know I'm wrecking the engine by doing this, and the radiator has oddly survived perfectly, come to think of it. But I know I'm wrecking the engine, but I'm just doing what I can to really keep this monster of a car under control on this circumstance that it shouldn't really be put under. No normal person puts a bolide through all this stress. And I went into neutral. That's not a very nice mistake to make. Thankfully, we're on a more flat terrain here. Come on. No. Again, I have to go into first gear. It keeps telling me overrev damage. Maybe it's just getting ever weaker though, and ever more damaged. I'm stuck here now. Come on, don't tell me it's broken. Well, I'll have to take this out, the final clip. It's actually kind of muddy here. I think that combined with the overrev. No, it's just too muddy. My engine is slowly going. I can try my best. I can try my best to... No? I think I'll have to give up here, sadly. I mean, I made it up the oil crisis, which means this has immediately beaten a whole bunch of cars. Right, one more try. No? The engine is just too far gone to actually do anything about my situation. The bolide held up well, though, honestly. Other than me absolutely abusing the engine at times, it's not done badly. Just turn those lights on again. I kind of like the yellow hue. I don't know why race cars do that, but some race cars do have yellow headlights. That weird tail light is smashed. I'm assuming one of the bumps did that. Overall, though, look at how well it survived. Far better than you would imagine an Italian supercar to survive a rally stage like this, especially one this low. So I can say, despite not finishing, I'm reasonably impressed with it. Although I did curse it by saying it's going to make a lap. Someday a bolide will make a lap, though. I guess it's just not going to be this one. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here for today. Probably tear this bumper off because it's been annoying me. And I'll say goodbye until another day.